Okay, so good day, good day again. So we are still in engineering sciences and allied subjects. Topic for this lecture would be engineering mechanics, still under dynamics. So this is the third series, for series lecture for dynamics. Okay, so first two, the first two topics or the first two parts can be found the first two recorded lectures. So there will be four parts, for dynamics. Okay, so for those who want, for those who want to have additional um, materials. Okay, so particularly for those who are reviewing, for in preparation for their respective licensure examination. So we are offering these review books. Okay, so we have this complete set, of review books for registered master electrician and registered electrical engineers licensure board examination. Okay, so please don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. Okay, so you may also hit the notification bell for you to be notified when there are or when there's new lecture that will be uploaded. Okay, so for the review materials, so you can order it via cash on delivery. Okay, so you can search it from our online store or you can message us directly. Okay, or email us directly at sdcengineering 2013 at gmail.com for both orders. Okay, so we will now proceed with the topics for uh, this lecture. So we have the Okay, so we have the uh, third part, okay, the third part for dynamics. Okay, so okay, so the first topic now that we'll be discussing for this lecture would be the impulse and momentum. Okay, so we define impulse as a large force, acting for a short period of time. Okay, so mathematically, impulse is equivalent to force multiplied by the time of contact. Okay, so that's the applied force multiplied by the time, no? So which is the period to which the applied force is applied to the or given, to a particular body. Okay, so and then we have here the momentum. Okay, so momentum is the property, of a body that determines the time required bringing it to rest. Okay, mathematically, momentum can be calculated, so by multiplying the unit mass, okay, multiplied by the velocity of the given object. Okay, and then we have the uh, impulse and momentum equation. Okay, so this is the property, for impulse and momentum. Okay, so that they can be equated, So the change in momentum that is equivalent to the difference between the positive impulse and the negative impulse. Okay, So the change in momentum force, no, so that is given by uh, the difference between MV2 and MV1. Okay, and then uh, that is equal to the difference, no, between the positive impulse and the negative impulse. So for the negative impulse, so this is of course the impulse created by the opposing force. So once there is an opposing force, so that creates a negative impulse, no? So an example to which is the friction, no? So the frictional force creates negative impulse, okay? So uh, just bear in mind, no? So just bear in mind that the two quantities, impulse and momentum, are vector quantities. That means, so you have considered the not just the magnitude but also the direction. No? So meaning to say these quantities, the impulse and momentum, are sign quantities. No? So they can be either positive or negative. Okay. So we will try to apply, okay, so the uh, concept, no, of impulse and momentum. Okay, so using the three problems presented, okay, and then we proceed, no, to the next topic uh, after. Okay, so we have for example number one, okay, so you have there a baseball of mass 0.16 kilograms is moving 25 meters per second. When it is hit directly back to the pitcher at a speed of 45 meters per second. Okay? If the average force exerted by the bat on the ball, okay, so that's 1,200 Newton, we are asked to calculate how long did the collision last. So meaning to say we are asked with the time. Okay? So, okay. So our approach, no? So in the um, okay. So for example number one, okay. So in example number one, so we are okay. So we are given with, no? So this would be um, so this for example number one. So you have there a baseball. Okay. So baseball initially, okay, so this would be the bat. Okay. So the baseball, mass of which is 0.16 kilograms, is moving, no? So 25 meters per second. So that means it is moving initially at 25 meters per second. And then once the pitcher, okay, or once the baseball is hit, no? So uh, the baseball returns, no, at a speed of 45 meters per second. So that means that the baseball returns, no, in the opposite direction at 45 meters per second. Okay. So we are asked for the contact. Okay. So the baseball bat is used to hit. Okay. So the ball. So resulting for the ball to return. okay, in the opposite direction at 45 meters per second. Okay, so we have the uh, okay. So we are asked no for the time of contact. Okay, so we use the concept of impulse and momentum. Okay, so you have the mv2 minus mv1. Okay, so that's equivalent to impulse positive minus impulse negative. Okay. Now for sure, so everyone knows that since there is no opposing force, so this will become zero. Okay. So such that we have their mass 1, okay, or no? So that's 0.16. So multiplied by V2, so that is 45 meters per second. So minus mass, no? So 0.16 multiplied by V1, that is 25 meters per second. Okay? So that is equal for the positive impulse. So you have the force multiplied by time. No? So the exerted force, that is 1,200 Newton, multiplied by the time t. So calculating for the time t, so you will have the uh, okay. So you have the 2.67 milliseconds. Okay. So another or an alternate solution for this one would be to use no, so the reverse effective force. That means, okay, so this is the second option or solution. So after the ball is hit by the bat, so it returns no, to speed of 45 meters per second. Okay. So to make this ball, okay, so stationary, a force is applied. So we call this one REF. Okay. So we then uh, use, okay, so this would be the force applied by the bat, and then to make the ball stationary, so we apply an imaginary force, that is REF. Okay. And then we begin, no, so by equating force that is equivalent to REF, that is force, that is mass multiplied by the acceleration. Okay. So uh, force is given to be 1,200 Newton. So that is 0.16 kilograms. And then multiplied by the acceleration. So you can calculate for the acceleration as 7,500. No? So that is kilogram. Okay, so no, the unit of which is meters per second square. Okay. And then we calculate for the time. So we use the formula VF, that is equivalent to VI. Okay, so plus AT. Okay. So such that the final velocity would be 45. That is equivalent to initial 25 plus the acceleration 80, no? So we have already the value for acceleration. Time would be, so that would be the same as 2.67 millisecond. So this would be point, okay? So we can make use, no? So the concept presented by the, okay, so the Alimbert's principle, no? So that is the application of REF, or reverse effective force. Okay, so, and then we move, no? So we move to example number 2. Okay, so in example number 2, so you have there an axe, no? So 10 kilograms axe. Okay, so it strikes a log. So this would be the log. Okay, so this is the axe. Okay, so the force, no? So the force exerted, no? So by that person given is 500 Newton. Okay, and then the axe, no, strikes the log like this one, no? For a period of 0.05 seconds. Second, okay? So how are we going to approach this problem? So we use the impulse momentum concept. So that is mv2 minus mv1, that is equivalent to positive impulse minus negative impulse. Okay? In this case, the negative impulse is 0. Okay? So leaving us with the following variables. Okay, so M, that's 10 kilograms. Okay, velocity 2, that's 0. Okay, 0 means that the, okay, so final velocity would be 0 as to the axe, no, is in contact with the lug. So that means the axe is now stationary. Okay, so we have here 10. Okay, so minus 10 multiplied by the initial velocity, that is, okay, okay, so this is the unknown, no? So this should be equals to positive impulse, okay? So since there is no opposing force, so we have here positive impulse only, that is force multiplied by the time t. So leaving as V1, that is equal to, so we have V1 equals to, so V1 would be a negative, no? So negative 2.5 meters per second, okay? So uh, if we use, no, so the concept of the reverse effective force, no, so alternate solution B, So that is if we allow the axe to be stationary. Okay, so the applied force so that is 500 Newton. Okay, no opposing force so no opposing force is given. Okay, so but we can make the axe stationary by applying the imaginary force, which is REF, or reverse effective force. So what we do now is we sum up, So you have the 500 Newton that is equal to mass multiplied by the acceleration. Okay, so we can calculate acceleration. That's 500 divided by the mass, So that's 50 meters per second square. Okay, and then since the question is the initial velocity, so we can make use of the formula Vf is equal to minus AT, So you have there the final velocity, 0. The initial, that would be 2.5, okay. And then minus acceleration 50. Okay, Vi is, okay, supposedly this is unknown, 0.03. So Vi then, that is equivalent to 0.05, I mean, the time is 0.05. So the answer would be 2.5 meters per second. Okay. So that would be regardless on what we use, So the impulse momentum concept, or the REF. So that is the stationary solution of the moving body in dynamics by applying the reverse effective force. Okay. So, okay. Okay, and then we go to number 3. So by the way, never mind the negative V1 or negative sign for V1 using impulse and momentum. Okay, so you may just take the uh, absolute value of that. Okay, so for you to have the answer 2.5 meters per second. Okay, so okay, we then go to number 3. Okay, so number 3. Okay, so number 3, so you have the 300 kilogram block is in contact with the level plane whose coefficient of kinetic friction is 0.1. Okay, so if the block is acted upon a horizontal force of 50 kilograms, so what time will elapse before the block reaches a velocity of 0.8 meters per second? Okay, so So this would be the plane, and then you have the 300 kilograms block. Okay, so this should be 300 kilograms, and then an applied force, no? Okay, so applied force of, okay, so that is 50 kilograms. Okay, so the applied force is 50 kilograms, no? So, uh, okay, and then we have the normal force, okay, the normal force, and then you have the friction force, no? So, okay, according to the problem, no? So, what time will elapse before the block reaches a velocity of 0.8 meters per second? So, the block is pushed by the 50 kilogram force. So, up to such point that it reaches to zero point 0.8 meters per second. Okay. So, we use the impulse and momentum concept. No? So, that's mv2. So that is equal to positive impulse minus negative impulse. Okay. So the negative impulse in this problem is the impulse created by the opposing force, no, which is the frictional force. Okay. So we can say, no, that the uh, okay. So the block, okay, the block will be assumed to start at rest. Okay. So meaning to say the block is located, no, in an area, and then it is being pushed by 50 kilogram force, 50 kilograms, no, force, and then the block moves, no, from 0 meters per second up to the point it moves here at 0.8 meters per second. Okay. So what we're going to do is we apply, no, mass, that's 300. V2, so you have the 0. Okay, minus V1, that is 0. So impulse, the positive impulse is, uh, okay. So the force, okay, so that's 50 kilograms multiplied by 9.81 meters per second square, no? And then this would be for the positive impulse minus the negative impulse. Okay, so that's the one created by the frictional force. Okay, so multiplied by the time t, no? So impulse positive, okay, so there's lacking the time. Okay, so minus negative impulse would be, okay, the friction force, no? So in this case, no, so it's very obvious that the friction force, that's equal to mu n. Okay, so this would be 0.1 multiplied by 300 kilograms. Okay. The normal force is the same as with the weight, no? Of the okay. So this should be 0.1 multiplied by okay, so that's 300 times 9.81. So positive impulse minus negative impulse, no? Multiplied by the time. So time can be calculated by, okay, so let me just calculate. So time would be 1.22 seconds.